The Renaissance is a period in European history from the 14th to the 17th century, regarded as a cultural bridge between the Middle Ages and modern history. It started as a cultural movement in Italy in the late medieval period and later spread to the rest of Europe, marking the beginning of the early modern age. The intellectual basis of the Renaissance was its own invented version of humanism, derived from the rediscovery of classical Greek philosophy, such as the Protagoras, who said that man is the measure of all things. This new thinking became manifest in art, architecture, politics, science, and literature. Early examples were the development of perspective in oil painting and the recycled knowledge of how to make concrete. Although the invention of metal movable ties sped the dissemination of ideas from the later 15th century. The changes of the Renaissance were not uniformly experienced across Europe. As a cultural movement, the Renaissance encompassed innovative flowering of Latin and vernacular literature, beginning with the 14th century resurgence of learning based on classical sources, which contemporaries credited to Petrarch. The development of linear perspective and other techniques of rendering a more natural reality in paintings, and gradual but widespread educational reform. In politics, the Renaissance contributed to the development of the customs and conventions of diplomacy, and in science to an increased reliance of observation and inducative reasoning. Although the Renaissance was revolutions in many intellectual pursuits, as well as social and political upheaval, it is perhaps best known for its artistic developments and the contribution of such polymaths as Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, who inspired the terms Renaissance man. During the Renaissance, money and art went hand in hand. Artists depended entirely on patrons, while the patrons needed money to foster artistic talent. Wealth was brought to Italy in 14th, 15th, and 16th century by expanding trade into Asia and Europe. Silver mining in Tyrol increased the flow of money. Luxuries from the eastern world brought home during the Crusades increased the prosperity of Genoa and Venice. And now the characteristics. Humanism. Renaissance humanism is the study of classical antiquity, a method of learning. The humanists believe that it is important to transcend to the afterlife with a perfect mind and body, which could be attained with education. The purpose of humanism was to create a universal man whose person combined intellectual and physical excellence and who was capable of functioning honorably in virtual and situation. Art. Renaissance art marks a cultural rebirth at the close of the Middle Age and rise of the modern world. One of the distinguishing features of Renaissance art was its development of highly realistic linear perspective. Painters developed other techniques studying light, shadow, and famously in the case of Leonardo da Vinci, human anatomy. Underlying this change in artistic method was renewed desire to depict the beauty of nature and unravel the ancient aesthetics, with the works of Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael representing artistic pinnacles that were much imitated by other artists. Science. The rediscovery of ancient texts and the invention of printing democratized learning and allowed the faster propagation of ideas. In the first period of the Italian Renaissance, humanists favored the study of humanities over natural philosophy or applied mathematics, and their reverence for classical searches further enshrined Aristotelian and Ptolemaic views of the universe. Science and art were intermingled in the early Renaissance with polymath artists such as Leonardo da Vinci making observational drawings of anatomy and nature. Da Vinci set up controlled experiments in water flow, medical dissection, and systematic study of movement and aerodynamics, and he devised principles of research method that led Fritjof Capra to classify him as the father of modern science. Music. From this changing society emerged a common unifying musical language, in particular the polyphonic style of the Franco-Flemish school.